What is up, friend? I have a question for you. Do you ever struggle with idea overload when it comes to your business or the business that you want to start? Maybe you have more ideas in your head than you have the bandwidth to execute on right now, and it's totally stressing you out. Your to-do list might seem like it's 1,000,000 miles long, and you have no idea which tasks to prioritize first. Well, believe it or not, idea overload is actually a sign that you are on the right path. But when left unchecked, too many ideas can lead to distractions, unfinished projects, overwhelm, and burnout. Dun, dun, dun! But I got you, friend. In today's episode, I'm going to share with you a brainstorming exercise with 5 steps to help you clear your mind, prioritize your to-do list, and stay focused on one task at a time. So grab your notebook, grab a couple highlighters, and let's get to the show. Hey mama, welcome to Bibles, Babies, and Business. Are you ready to start an online biz, quit your 9-to-5, and stay home with your kids? Are you up late at night Googling online business ideas, how to market myself, and how to get my first paying client? Do you have lots of ideas but feel overwhelmed when trying to figure out which ones to focus on so you can move your business forward? Hey there, I'm Camie. I'm a Christian, a wife, and a soon-to-be mom. A few years ago, I too felt drained by my day job and wished I could find a way to make money online. I wanted time freedom and the financial freedom to be a stay-at-home mom. But imposter syndrome kept creeping in and telling me, you could never make enough money doing that. And what if you do try and you fail? But then I discovered how to build an online coaching business from home. In this podcast, you'll find biblical principles for the Christian entrepreneur, online marketing tips to help you start and build an online coaching business from home, and a whole lot of mom life, because we're doing it all with a baby on our hip. So grab your Bible, snuggle your baby, and let's build your business, because you were made for this. All right, when I started my coaching business, I had so many ideas, so many goals that I wanted to accomplish. I remember it being so hard to focus on one task at a time, complete it, and then move on to the next thing. And thinking back on it, it most definitely did not help that at that time, I was listening to so many different podcast episodes, watching so many people on Instagram, just like popcorning from like expert to expert to expert to expert. And every single time I would hear a new podcast, I'd be like, oh, that's the thing I have to go do. And then I'd listen to another podcast that said, no, do this thing. And so I would stop working on that one thing and jump to this thing instead. And but then that person on Instagram, they said that this is the only way that you can build a business. So I realized, I'd wasted time doing those other 2 things. I got to go do this thing instead. And it was just this constant merry-go-round of confusion. And I was all over the place, and it felt like I was just flailing around and not making any progress. It truly was so frustrating because I was so excited about this business. I knew at that point, like, I am meant to do this, but I felt like I was running in place and wasting a whole bunch of energy and time and not getting anywhere. So if that is you, friend, I hear you. I have been there. I know what it's like to feel like there's endless possibilities, but how do we get there? So many ideas, but which ones do we execute on? You need to know that not every idea you have comes from the Lord. Some ideas are simply just distractions from what God is actually wanting you to do. And it's important that we have the discipline and discernment to know the difference. God is a good and responsible Father, and He is not going to overwhelm or confuse His children. You have to know that overwhelm and confusion are not part of God's identity. Of course, we're overwhelmed by His greatness, but that's not what I'm talking about. He is not setting out to overwhelm you. He is not setting out to confuse you. So if you are confused, if you are frustrated, if you feel like you're spinning your wheels trying to get this business going and you have all these ideas, but you have no idea which one to execute on, that is not coming from the Lord. Now, ideas themselves, those are not bad. But the thing we have to be careful of is discerning between what is a good idea and what is a God idea, because we cannot get bogged down by jumping from one task to another or one idea to the next, never actually completing any of them, and getting so frustrated that we end up in analysis paralysis. Or in other words, you're like, I don't know which thing to do next, so I just am sitting here paralyzed and doing nothing. Let's avoid that with all costs. So, as a Christian entrepreneur, again, it's important that you know how to distinguish between good ideas and God ideas, because there is a difference between the two. Which ideas to do right now, which ideas to table for later, and which ideas just kind of need to be tossed. So I'm going to walk you through a 5-step brainstorming exercise that you can do right here, right now after this episode to help you get clear on what it is to do next, avoid overwhelm, and prioritize your task list. Let's jump in with step 1. I want you to set a timer, anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes, to sit down and brainstorm all of the ideas that you have for your business. Write them all down. They don't have to be in any sort of particular order. Just brain dump. Brain dump all of them down on a piece of paper. Get them out of your head because they're taking up space in your head. Space that could be used for clarity on what should we do next. What is the thing that we're going to be pursuing? So get it out of your head and put it down on paper so that you're not forgetting anything, but now you can visually see all the ideas that you have. There's something special about visually seeing everything that is up in your head. That's why journaling is so effective for so many people. That's why writing things down is so important. So that's step 1. Give yourself 10 to 15 minutes and brainstorm all the ideas you have for your business. Don't worry about particular order, just brain dump. Step number 2, I want you to grab a highlighter and highlight all of the tasks that are client-serving tasks, meaning this is a task that you are doing that is serving a client of yours. Coaching calls, client check-ins, answering private messages or Xoxo messages for your client, anything that is directly supporting one of your clients. And I want you to highlight all the tasks that directly serve and support your clients. Step 3, I want you to now grab a different highlighter, different color highlighter than you did before, because we want to distinguish now between these two things, or grab a different pen or whatever you got to do. And I want you to either highlight or underline all of the tasks that are income generating tasks. So these are things like creating content, having sales calls, talking with potential clients. Maybe you're fine-tuning a coaching package that you're going to sell. Maybe you're doing market research for your ideal client. Things that directly relate to you generating income. Now, this one, you're going to need to ask for some wisdom on this, because sometimes there are things on our task list that seem like they're income generating tasks, but they're actually not. Or we can start off by doing an income generating task and get sidetracked. Now, all of a sudden, we're just wasting time. Here's a prime example of that. You are opening up maybe Instagram, maybe that's your platform of choice to start your coaching business, and your goal was to spend the next 30 minutes in using a DM strategy, and you were going to connect with a whole bunch of potential ideal clients, but you got distracted, and now you're just scrolling through Instagram, and now what started off as an income generating task is now just wasting time and scrolling through Instagram. See how we can get distracted from one thing to something that is all of a sudden not a wise use of our time? So we have to be really diligent and consistently bring our mind back to the task at hand. So again, step number 3 is with a different color pen or highlighter, highlight or underline all of the tasks that are income generating. Again, a few of those examples could be creating content, getting on sales calls, talking with potential clients. Maybe you're fine-tuning a coaching package, market research for your ideal clients. These are not limited, like you're not limited to just these income generating tasks, but these are just examples to kind of get you started. So now you should have a list of ideas, and there should be one color that signifies, is that even a word? That is representing client-serving tasks, and another color that is representing income-generating tasks. And that leads me to step 4. Everything that you see in color here on this list should be prioritized. Now, which ones should come first though? Your client-serving tasks need to come first, and here's why. It is very important that as a coach that we operate in integrity. That our goal, yes, of course our goal is to sign clients, but we don't want to just sign clients and then kick them to the curb and forget about them and not actually give them an amazing, phenomenal client experience. No, that would not be operating in integrity. That would not be operating with the excellence that the Lord wants us to operate in. Because again, remember, we are representing the kingdom. We are representing the Lord, and we want to do that with excellence. Your client-serving tasks need to be done first. We want to create an amazing, excellent client experience for the people who have already invested in you, for the people who've already placed their trust in you and already are asking you to help them. That has to be our priority first. The second priority is income-generating tasks. So this is things that are helping you sign future clients, because we do want to be working on future sales. Like, sales has to be a part of the business, otherwise we don't have a business. So I'm not saying that it's not important for you to, yes, focus on future sales. It's just not the most important thing. So that was step number 4. Everything highlighted is something you should prioritize, with your client-serving tasks being first and your income-generating tasks being second. Now, this is the last and final 5th step. Everything else that is on your list that is not highlighted needs to be either tabled for later or completely tossed. And that could be a little bit of a blow to our ego because we want to execute on all the things. We want to do all the things. But remember, friend, not all the ideas that we have are from the Lord. And if we were to execute on all the ideas that we have, it would actually be a distraction for what God really does have for us. I want to run through a quick summary here. What were those 5 steps again? Step number 1, set a timer and give yourself 10 to 15 minutes to brainstorm all of the ideas that you have for your business. Number 2, grab a highlighter and highlight all of the tasks that are client-serving tasks. Number 3, grab a different color highlighter or pen, and now I want you to highlight all the tasks that are income-generating tasks. Step 4, everything that is highlighted in color on this list should be prioritized, with your client-serving tasks being first and your income-generating tasks being second. And step number 5, everything that is not highlighted on this list either needs to be tabled to do later or tossed away completely. I want to add one last little bonus tip in here. This is not necessarily part of the 5-step brainstorming exercise, but a bonus tip that is really going to make a huge difference when it comes to staying focused on one task at a time. You now have your prioritized tasks. One thing that I really want you to work on and pray on is staying disciplined in completing each task before moving on to the next task. So if you are sitting down and your goal right now is to create a piece of content that you're going to share either on a podcast or as an Instagram post or a Facebook post, don't leave that post uncreated in the middle of your creation in order to go do another thing. Stay focused and work through that task to completion. And in the beginning, that might feel really frustrating because you might have 5 different distractions in 20 minutes that you have to constantly bring your mind back to. But be prayerful in this and ask the Lord to help you with self-control, which is one of the fruits of the Spirit. Lord, help me to have self-control, to not get distracted by all the things that I could do and really focus on this one thing that you are calling me to do. And as you are completing these task lists, friends, I don't know about you, but there's something so satisfying by checking it off. So once you complete that Instagram post or that Facebook post or that podcast episode, check it off on your to-do list and then move on to the next thing and do that thing to completion. I promise you will get so much more done by staying focused on the task at hand, minimizing distractions, And also be gentle with yourself. When you do get distracted, don't be mad at yourself. Just be patient, be gentle, and just bring your mind back to the thing at hand. And this may mean that you have to limit things around you. This may mean that you have to put your phone on vibrate or silence Instagram notifications. Like, I do not have notifications on Instagram on my phone or Facebook notifications or honestly really any social media app notifications. Like, I do not just, my phone does like not tell me every single time that somebody sends me a message or likes a post or like fill in the blank here. Maybe that's something you need to do to limit distractions. Whatever your distraction is, friend, ask the Lord for wisdom on Lord, how can I be disciplined and not allowing this distraction to keep me from my calling? Now, when I was doing market research a couple weeks ago, which is so important, I encourage you to do market research. Ask your audience, what are you looking for? What do you need help with? Interview your ideal client. That is something that I don't think we ever get to graduate from that level. We always have to come back to the person that we're serving and make sure that we're serving them well. When I was doing market research calls, one of the number one things that I heard was, I'm so overwhelmed with all these ideas, all these tasks. I don't know how to prioritize them. So friend, if you are one of those people that you feel overwhelmed by all the ideas and you have a task list or a to-do list that seems like it's a mile long and you don't know which one to do first, I want you to do this exercise and then let me know how it goes. And you can let me know by joining my Facebook community, which is linked down in the show notes. Come in there and let me know how this exercise went for you. Or you can leave a review on Apple iTunes and let me know how this episode served you, how it helped you to prioritize your task list. Or you could even share it with a friend who you know could also use this episode as well. Lastly, friend, before we wrap up today's episode, I really do want to encourage you to join the Facebook community. There is power in community. The scripture tells us that we should be in community. And let's be honest, running online businesses in your home when you're not in a cubicle, you're not getting up and working alongside your coworkers on this particular business. Like, you may be working at another job right now where you have coworkers, but you likely do not have coworkers in your actual coaching business. It can become lonely. And I don't want you to be lonely, because when you're lonely, that is a prime place for the enemy to come and attack with imposter syndrome, with doubt, and with distractions. So I want you to come get plugged into this community where you can be amongst other sisters in Christ who are also running online coaching businesses for the glory of the kingdom, so that they can make money from home, glorify the Lord, and also be present in their season of motherhood. You can join that Facebook group by clicking the link in the show notes. This episode, I think, could honestly be listened to over and over and over. I encourage you to actually do the thing. Do this exercise, do these 5 steps. It's probably only going to take you about 25 minutes, and it can be a complete game changer for the way that you show up to your workday and be productive. I love you, friends, and I will see you next time on the Bibles, Babies, and Business podcast. Hi, friend. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Bibles, Babies, and Business podcast. If you learned something from today's episode, or if it blessed you in any way, I would love to know. You can head over to Apple Podcasts and leave me a review, and I may just read your review on the show. Thank you again for being here, and I pray that God would fill you with peace in your faith, your motherhood, and your business, because you were made for this.